Happy 4th of July, a day late, July 5th, 2025 here at the Barrel. Just pulling up. This is the first time I'm going to be playing live poker since I got back from Vegas. Vegas was pretty much a disaster. Ended up losing $2,900 altogether between tournament and cash. First time I've had a losing trip going to Nevada in probably 5 years. So it took actually about 2 weeks off altogether. Played a little online, but this is the first time I'll be touching cards or chips in 2 weeks. Pretty much a must-win session for me, if I'm going to be honest. So let's go in there and must win it. Let's see how we do.
You're just bought into another dimension. A dimension not only of bad beats and busted draws, but of decisions so bizarre they defy logic. You've crossed into a land where min raises spell doom, and a four-way all-in with queen high makes perfect sense. You've stepped out of reality and into the absurd, the unpredictable, the unexplainable. You've just pulled up a seat to the low-stakes zone.
I get to the Barrel right around 4 o'clock and they have a seat waiting for me. It's good to see they haven't forgotten about me, even though I haven't set foot in the place in about 3 weeks. Literally first hand, I sit down and I look down at a couple of kings. So far a good start, but I had lots of hands like that in Vegas, so let's see how it turns out for me. I raise under the gun to $12 and get called in 5 spots, so nothing really new there. Flop comes 10, 9, 4, all diamonds. I don't have the king of diamonds in my hand, so here we go. Both the blinds check to me and I continue for $25. Only the small blind decides to continue, so maybe I have a chance here after all. The turn is pretty brickish with a 3 of spades, so I'm going to go ahead and continue after the small blind checks. This time I bet out for $45, which is a little less than half pot. He comes along again, so I'm kind of thinking he has a 1 pair type holding or possibly a diamond. I figure if he had 2 pair or a made flush already, he'd be betting for protection at some point along the way here. The river brings the 3 of hearts and he instantly donks out for $100. I guess if he flopped a flush, I'm just going to have to pay him off here, but there's just no way I'm folding for this sizing. I put in the call even though I don't like it, and he tells me that I'm good. So I'm guessing he was betting out with a busted flush draw of some sort. Honestly, a better result than what we had most of the week in Vegas, but I will take it. Hopefully this can be the foundation to the start of a good session. About 20 minutes later, I'm under the gun and I pick up ace-king suited. I open the betting to $15 and middle position, hijack, cutoff, and button all look me up, so we're going to a flop 5 ways. Got him just where I want him. Flop is ace, queen, jack, rainbow, 1 club. Not the worst flop in the world, but I definitely need to be careful if I get any sort of resistance. I can't just go into a check call shell yet, so I fire out $50. Thankfully, one by one, everybody finds the exit and I'm left with the pot. With a scary flop and being out of position, I'm happy to take down a small win with a hand like this. And so far we're 2 for 2. Maybe I still do know how to win at poker. Throughout the month of July, the Barrel is running a promotion where 1 table an hour gets drawn for a splash pot. On Fridays and Saturdays it's $100 and the rest of the week is $50. For this particular hand, we get run the drawing, and so there's an extra $100 going to the winner of this hand. I'm under the gun and I look down at ace-6 offsuit. Normally this is a fold, but when there's extra money in the pot, I'm going to try to get after it. I opened to $65, and I surprisingly get called in 3 spots, so we're going to go to a flop. This plan might not be working out the way I had hoped. Flop is jack 8-7 rainbow, so I completely whiff, and I'm pretty much going to give up on the hand at this point. There's a couple of short stacks in there with me, and they're already priced in to call with any sort of hand or draw. I really don't have much fold equity at this point. I check, and the man to my left goes all in for $177 before his short stack and the hijack calls off for his $37. The cutoff thinks about it for a while, and he also calls for $177. I'm quickly out the door with my ace high, but I do want to see the carnage that I brought on. The turn is the ace of hearts, and the river is the 10 of clubs. Now as these 3 hands are shown down, I want to break down exactly how I think everybody played it horribly, and somehow there was still a winner. First of all, under the gun shows ace-king offsuit. If he would have 3-bet pre-flop like he's supposed to with ace-king, he would have isolated me, I would have been out of position, and I would have had to fold my ace-6. Even if I jam back on him, he's not in really bad shape with ace-king, and he can easily call off for his stack. Post-flop, he just rips with ace-king on a jack 8-7 flop. I don't know what kind of monkey spaz that was, but definitely not going to be a winning play. The hijack in middle position shows 10-7 of spades. So he called off 65 on a $100 stack with 10-7 suited. The old suited 2-gapper. And then once he flops bottom pair in a gut shot and somebody ahead of him puts all of his money in, he figures, you know what the hell, let's just throw in our chips too. I guess at that point it's probably a call with your bottom pair, no kicker and gut shot, but still, you shouldn't have gotten yourself in this position. And then finally we have the actual winner of the hand with the Jack-8 of diamonds who flopped top 2 pair. He's 4th man of the pot with another suited 2-gapper. Yeah, he's in position, and he's got a really deep stack. Personally, I can't find justification for playing this hand this way pre-flop, but once you flop top 2, I mean, what the hell? That's why you play Jack-8, right? So he's alright making the call. These are the kinds of things you see every day in 1-3 and 1-2 games. The ranges are extraordinarily wide, and you just have to try to play better cards than them. This next hand isn't terribly exciting, and to be honest, I probably would not have included it in the vlog if I had not picked up a tell on the river. Action folds around to me in the hijack when I look down at the Queen Jack offsuit. Not exactly a premium hand, but I think I can open in this position, so I fire out $12. The button and both blinds come along, so I'm probably going to have to hit a flop of some sort to continue. Flop is King King 3 Rainbow. It's a very disconnected board, and a king definitely hits my pre-flop raising range, so maybe I can steal it here. Both blinds check to me, and I continue for $15. There's really not much need to bet more than that. If they've got a king, they're definitely going to continue and not fold for any price. There shouldn't be a lot of 3s out there, although with both the blinds calling, you just never know. And there's definitely no draws, so a small bet should clean up most of the riffraff that's hanging around. The button and the small blind both fold pretty quickly, so I'm almost home, but the big blind gives me a call. We're going to go to the turn heads up. The turn is the king of spades, putting 3 of a kind on board and completing the rainbow. I really don't have much going for me at this point. I really can't even beat ace high. So when he checks, I'm happy to check behind. I'm pretty much giving up on the pot. I want you to watch my opponent's hands as the river card 3 of clubs comes off. It registers, and then he just kind of picks up his hands for a second in a dismissive move like, well, I guess I'm just going to chop this pot. I'm not sure what he was calling with. If he had a 3, he just got counterfeited. There's absolutely no way he would have this kind of body language if he had a king, and I'm not feeling him for a pocket pair. I know that if we check, we chop, so I put in a bet to make him think twice. He thinks for a little bit and then says,
You got a pocket pair bigger than 3.
And folds. I was able to win $50. I probably wouldn't have won any other way besides picking up this tell and acting instantly on it.
You need to keep both eyes open.
About half an hour later, and I'm under the gun when I look down at a couple of red kings. I open it up to $15 and get called by the low jack, the hijack, and the big blind. Flop of 5-4-3 rainbow isn't the best thing in the world for me. Both the hijack and low jack players have been fairly loose and passive. They could easily have had 2 pair or flopped a straight draw or some sort of other nonsense that I really wouldn't see coming. But at the same time, there's also a lot of complete whiffs with ace high that I do need to try to push out of the pot. I go for a little more than half pot by betting $35. Low jack and hijack both call, and the big blind gets out of the way. Notice that the hijack got some extra chips brought to him. He bought in for another $50. I wasn't sure if that $50 was in play for this hand or not, but I didn't want to ask because I don't want to give away any extra information about the strength of my hand and how I could possibly be interested in winning all the chips. The turn is the 9 of diamonds, which is pretty disconnected overcard considering the flop. I'm going to keep applying pressure to charge the draws or any other nonsense that might be in there. I feel my kings are probably still good though. I bet $105 and the low jack folds. The dealer calls over the floorman to get a clarification as to whether or not that other $50 plays. After a little bit of discussion, it turns out that it doesn't, and the hijack folds anyways. Kind of a moot point, but I end up picking up over $100 on this hand anyways. Another nice win, and I'm continuing to move in the right direction. A few hands later, and I'm on the button. The hijack opens for $20, which is a little pricey in my mind, but when I look down at queens, I'm okay with it. I raise it up to $65, and the hijack quickly calls. We're going to go see a flop heads up. King 7 deuce rainbow. Just about the driest possible flop you could hope for. Unfortunately, there is an overcard. The hijack checks. I bet out for $50. The hijack thinks for a moment and then calls. I really don't have any reads on this guy at this point, so I'm just going to have to play it by feel. The turn is a 3 of clubs, and that really doesn't change much. If I was ahead on the flop, I should still be ahead on the turn. He checks again, and I'm going to go for a little pot control and check behind him. The river brings the queen of hearts, giving me a very sneaky set. There's absolutely no way I'm behind now. He checks one more time, and I bet $85. I'm basically targeting his kings here. I don't think any hand like pocket 10s or 9s can really call a bet when the queen falls. It's a king or nothing. The hijack tanks for a long time.
It's been 84 years.
And then he finally puts in the call. I show my rivered set, and he shows ace of spades, jack of clubs? for the nut ace high.
Huh?
I guess he thought I was bluffing or something? I don't know. Anyways, I take down a nice pot, and I guess my image, at least to this guy, is that I'm just playing crazy. I don't know where he got that information from, but I will take it. I go card dead for about an hour and a half before I finally pick up queens in the small blind. It folds all the way around to the button, who limps for $3. And actually I'm kind of thankful for that, because if they would have folded, we probably just would have chopped with the blinds and not gotten to play our queens. As it sits, I look down at the queens and I bump it up to $23. The big blind defends, but the limper gets out of the way, and we're going to take this hand heads up. I see the ace of clubs in the window, and I'm thinking that I just cannot catch a break, even though I've been winning almost every big pot I've been playing. The whole flop comes down ace 8-6 with a couple of hearts. I continue for $20, and the big blind comes along for the ride. This isn't a major cause for concern at this point, seeing it's a blind versus blind situation. There's lots of draws he could be in there with, so I'm not necessarily beat by just the ace. That being said, I don't really need to go shoveling a lot more money into this pot. If I'm ahead, I'm going to remain ahead, and if I'm behind, I'm probably not going to be able to push him off a pot. 4 of diamonds falls on the turn, and we both check. 9 of hearts, which is the absolute worst possible card, comes on the river. Brings in straight draws, flush draws, all sorts of nonsense that just kill my queens. I check, and he quickly checks behind, thankfully, and shows the 8 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. So we flop second pair. If I had continued with aggression on the turn, he probably would have gone away anyway, so I wouldn't have won anything more. But it's nice to take down a pot, even though the board was not very favorable for me. The last hand we're going to go over from the first half of this session is a double board PLO bomb pot. I'm in what would normally be the big blind position, and I look down at Jack, 10-9 double suited. Absolutely beautiful Omaha hand. First flop is ace, queen, 8 rainbow. So any king, jack, or 10 that's not a spade will give me the nuts on the turn. Bottom board comes king, jack, 6 rainbow, so I have second set there. Overall, a couple of pretty good flops for my hand. I lead out for a pot size bet of $35 and only get called by the hijack and the cutoff. The turn cards are a couple of 4s. Pretty much bricks for both boards. I still like my second set on the bottom board and my wrap on the top board, so I bet another pot size bet of $140. My 2 opponents have seen enough, and they surrender the pot to me, so I pick up $105 without having to improve on the second board. That's always a good thing in a bomb pot.
We've only seen one whammy today, but on Monday, things could be quite different. Will Michael hit a whammy? Will a whammy hit Michael? Will Michael pass his spins, or will he end up owning the network? You'll see it all on Monday. Until then, this is Peter Markin saying so long for Press Your Luck. Bye-bye.